All right, call y'all back in 3. Call you back in 2. Call you back 1. All right, today is Thursday. Here's what we're going to be learning today. We're going to be learning all about the communication process and our sender-receiver model. That way, y'all can become effective communicators. Please make sure that you are paying attention. This is one of the most important things that you will learn because this is a really important class because you use communication every single day and every single minute of your life. Even, yes, when you're sleeping, because when you're sleeping, what are you communicating? To other people. That you're tired. Because you're sleeping. So the first thing y'all need to do is right here, we have our sender-receiver notes. Y'all should have opened that up, and you're not going to be able to edit it, so what do you need to do? Make a copy. You go to File, and make a copy. That was your warm-up, so hopefully most of y'all did that. If not, y'all need to get on the ball a little bit as far as the warm-up goes.
Wait, the sender notes or the PowerPoint?
The notes. You do also have access to the PowerPoint. So if I do end up going too fast or if you miss something, you can always look at the PowerPoint. It is right here for y'all. Okay? But let's go ahead and start. So we have our sender-receiver model of communication. There are 2 roles in the communication process. What do you think they are? Role number 1 is going to be, yes? Yes, or in this nice little presentation, I call it what? The sender. And then what's the other role going to be? The receiver. Okay? So these are the 2 roles. We're going to talk first about, the one who starts the initial conversation, which is the sender. So the sender is going to do what? What are they going to do? What are they going to do? If they have a message, what are they going to do with this message? Send it. Yeah, they're going to send the message. That's why we call them the sender. You'll see what I'm doing here? Okay? So you have the sender. This is the person who is a communicator. They're the ones who initiates the communication process. They're the ones who's speaking first. Okay? So I believe on your notes, there's 1 blank that's just by itself. So you should be writing down the sender there. And then underneath that blank, you have, I want to say it's the communicator that you're supposed to be filling in.
What about the one above you?
The sender. And we're going to be stopping today at types of noise. So once you get to types of noise, you're not going to be typing anymore. Okay? So this is our sender. They're going to be the one who initiates the communication process. On our nice little sender-receiver model, this is them. Look at them. So this is our sender. There they are. They're here. Does everybody see our sender? We're going to keep adding to this nice little model as we go on. The next person is the receiver. What is the receiver going to be doing?
Receiving the message.
Receiving the message. All right. So the receiver is the targeted recipient of the communication. So they're the ones that is receiving that message that is being sent to them. Am I going too fast?
No, I don't think you. That was like the wrong.
Okay. So, again, let's look at our nice little model. Boom. Now we have the receiver on there. So we have our sender and the receiver. All right. So between the sender and the receiver, what is getting sent?
Message.
The message. All right. Does the message have to be spoken words? Let me ask you that again. Does the message have to be spoken words?
No.
No, it does not. Your message could be you waving at somebody. Your message could be you smiling at somebody. Your message could be anything. Maybe you're sharing a picture with somebody. Okay? So the message is just going to be information that is being communicated. So a message is just the information that is being communicated.
Oh my gosh, I did have a problem.
So here's our model. We have our sender sending a message to the receiver. Da, 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 da. Now, between the sender and the receiver, the sender is going to send this message, but there are multiple different ways of sending a message to somebody. Somebody list one way you could send a message. Yes? An iMessage, like a text message? So you could send it through a text message. What? How else? Snapchat. Email. Instagram. You're sending messages. Now let's get away from the phone a little bit. What other ways can you send a message? You could literally talk. What else? Mail. A note.
You could tell someone else too.
You can have somebody else tell the message, but that's where that gets tricky because sometimes we misinterpret messages or they don't get relayed correctly.
Yeah,
Okay, a bird. So all of these ways that y'all are mentioning, this is what we call the channel or the medium. So the channel or the medium is just how you're sending your message. Are you waving at somebody? That is a gesture. That is a channel. Are you smiling at somebody? That is a facial expression. That is a channel. So, again, the channel or the medium is the means by which a communication is transmitted from one party to another. So it's how you're sending your message. How are you getting it to your receiver?
What was the one below message? Information.
Information. Okay. So we have our channel and we have our medium. So now this is really tough stuff, right? Super hard to figure this out. A sender sends a message, a receiver receives the message. Okay. A message is what you're actually saying. The channel is where you're like what you're using to send your message in. Okay. Super hard stuff, right? Super hard.
Yes.
But I do want y'all to start paying attention because now we're going to get into the part where we normally have problems with our communication processes. Here's noise. So let's talk about noise for a minute. Noise, when you hear that word, you immediately think of what? You think of noise, okay? So we're thinking literal noise. But in the communication process, not only is noise, but it's a whole bunch of other things as well. So for example, noise is anything, and I mean anything, that interferes with the communication process. For example, your masks is something that interferes with the communication process. Because, yeah, it's going to be noise. Okay? So your mask is noise. Because one, sometimes I can't hear y'all through your mask, right? Because it muffles your voice. And on top of that, too, some of y'all might be smiling at me right now, or some of y'all could be sticking your tongues out at me in defiance. And I would not be able to get that message. Because how am I going to know you got a mask covering your face? So that also will be noise. Okay? If somebody doesn't speak the same language as you, guess what? That's noise. If somebody looks like they're listening to you, but they're thinking about something else while you're talking to them, that's noise. That's internal noise. And we're going to talk about the types of noise later on, but I wanted y'all to understand that noise isn't just what you physically hear.
So noise is a distraction?
Noise is anything that interferes with the communication process. So let's say somebody is over there like dancing on their table while I'm trying to give a lecture. That's noise because it's a distraction. And now you're paying more attention to that person dancing on the table than you are the words coming out of my mouth. Does that make sense to everybody? So noise is anything that interferes with the communication process. As communicators, here's where we go wrong a lot in the communication process. When we encode a message. Now I know what y'all can probably tell me what to decode a message means. If I was to ask you how to decode a message, what am I asking you to do? I'm asking you to translate it, right? So I'm asking you to try to figure out what it is that I'm saying in the message. If I'm asking you to encode a message, what am I asking you to do?
Decode it.
What? Y'all raise your hands because I had like 3 people talk at once. So if I'm asking you to encode the message, what am I asking you to do? Yeah.
You're like mess up the message.
Not necessarily mess it up. So let me lead y'all a little bit here. If I'm decoding, I'm trying to figure out what it is they're saying. If I'm encoding, it's the opposite. What am I trying to figure out?
Why the fuck?
I really don't know.
You're trying to figure out how to say it.
Oh.
Okay? How are you going to send this message? How are you going to say it? So, for example, I had somebody earlier today who had a hard time coming up with a good encoding for their message. So they were trying to talk to me, but there was an error in her encoding because I had no idea what she was saying. So here's the situation that happened. She came up to me, and y'all know how they're putting like puzzle pieces around the school for the yearbook stuff?
said it already.
Okay. So they're putting those things up. I had no idea that was happening today. So in my very first period, somebody comes up to me and she holds up this A with puzzle pieces in it. And she says, "Miss, do you have any A's?" Me not knowing anything, I look at her like, "What? Do you have any A's?" What's wrong with this message?
Doesn't make sense.
Why doesn't it make sense?
Because we don't know what the A is.
Yeah, I have no idea. So when she's talking to me, I'm like, A? I don't know. Like I'm starting to point out A's within the room because I have no idea what she's talking about. So her error there was not giving me that details or that background on what it is that she was talking about. So she should have been how she should have encoded that message was by saying, "Hey, so your book's putting up puzzle pieces all over the school and I have to like find them. Do you have any?" That would have been a better way of saying that, right?
Do you?
No, I didn't even know that thing existed today. So if I do, I have no idea. I don't see any though. Okay. All right. So that is what it means to encode. Encoding is just the sender translating idea that has to be communicated. Here's another problem that we tend to have when we're encoding messages. So sometimes we might be speaking loud enough for somebody to hear, correct? But they'll still like ask us to repeat ourselves. Now, are they asking you to repeat yourself because you were too quiet and they couldn't hear you? When you know that you were loud? Okay? Like me, I'm a loud person. When I talk to people, I'm pretty loud. Right now, I can guarantee that they can hear me down the hall. All right? So if I'm sitting here and I'm talking to y'all and I'm asking you a question and you say what, am I just going to repeat myself or am I going to encode it a different way? I'm going to encode it a different way. And you'll start noticing if you come up here and you ask me questions and I answer you and you say what, sometimes I'm not going to repeat myself word for word. I'm going to change it up.
That's mean.
Okay? Because sometimes people can hear you. They're just not understanding what you're saying. So they're going to say, what? So here's our sender. Their responsibility as a sender is to encode the message and figure out a good way to send the message so that the receiver is going to be able to understand. So what do you think the receiver is going to do when the message gets to them?
Decode it.
They're going to decode it.
Oh.
And you have already told me what decode means. Decode is just the receiver translating what has been communicated. That's it. So they're trying to figure out what it is that the message means. So decoding is just trying to figure out what that message means. What are they trying to say? What is this person saying to me right now? Let me figure that out real quick. So again, looking at our model, The sender's responsibility is to encode the message. Are y'all listening? So the sender's going to encode the message. Message is going to be sent to the receiver. The receiver is going to decode that. That is their responsibility to decode the message. Can you decode the message and misinterpret it?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. How many of y'all have had that happen to you? Good, okay. Everybody should probably raise their hands because not everybody's perfect communicators in here.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So here's an example for you. An example of a decoding error would be me using sarcasm with one of y'all and you taking it very literal. That would be a problem with decoding. Where's the error there? If I'm being sarcastic and you take it literal, what do you think that I'm doing? You're probably going to take it as me being mean to you, when really I'm kind of joking with you.
People who like, okay, this happened today last period. Most annoying thing.
Yeah.
The teacher's like, sit down, and she sat down in the floor, like right in the floor.
Oh, yeah. That annoys me too.
I do that to my parents. I was like, okay.
Oh, Blake.
If my son ever did that, I'd slap him across the face.
Kevin.
All right. So we have problems with decoding is when we misinterpret things. A lot of times, so let me tell you all a story. Back in the day, we used to not have emojis.
What?
Okay. So when text messaging first came out, we didn't have emojis. So how often do you think we got in trouble with each other? Or got mad with each other? It happened a lot because we couldn't have those emojis to let you know that we were joking about something.
Emoticon. XD.
Yeah, we had to create our own emojis because we started learning like, oh, this isn't a good form of communication because they're not getting my sarcasm. That's when we came up with abbreviations like LOL. We're like, oh, we need to make sure that people understand that we're laughing at this and we're not being serious.
F-O-L.
Okay, so here's a nice little video for y'all to watch.
All right.
There is some encoding and decoding errors. Are y'all ready to watch this? I'll wait till y'all are quiet to play it.
No, it's not. It is not the Three Stooges.
It's not.
It was on Profcomm.
Call me back in 3. Call me back in 2. Call me back in 1. Please be quiet.
Let's play.
It's a must. I guess it's a must. We've got to do it. Well, I'll tell you. Let me see. That looks all right. Okay, all right. We pretend. We just pretend. All right, I'll take it easy with that. We just pretend that we're organizing a baseball team here at the retired actors' home. And I am the manager. Now,
You're going to be the manager of the retired actors baseball team?
yes.
I would like to join the retired actors baseball team.
Oh, you would?
And I would like to know some of the guys' names on the team, so if I want to play with them, I know them, I meet them on the street or in the home here, I can say hello to them.
Oh, sure. But you know they give baseball players nowadays very peculiar names.
A lot of funny names.
You know, like Stinky Fields,
Sticky Field.
Goofy Dan, Poopy Bobber, Booby Bobber.
I know.
Well, let's see now. We have on our team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
That's what I want to find out, the guy's name.
And then,
That's what I want to find out, the guy's name.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
I have it. You going to be the manager of the baseball team?
Yes.
You know the guy's name?
Well, I should.
Well, you tell me the guy's names on the baseball
I say,
team.
who's on first, what's on second, I don't know who's on third.
You ain't saying nothing to me yet. Go ahead and tell me.
I'm telling you.
You ain't saying nothing yet. Go ahead and tell me.
Who's on first, what's on second, I don't know is on third.
You know the guy's names on the baseball team?
Yes.
Well, go ahead. Who's on first?
Yes.
I mean the guy's name.
Who?
The guy playing first.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who?
The guy on first base.
Who is on first?
What are you asking me for? I don't know.
Wait a minute,
I'm asking you who's on first.
That's his name.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
Who?
The guy on first.
That's it. That's his name.
You ain't said nothing. I ain't asked you nothing.
You did.
You know the guy's name on first base?
Sure.
Tell me the guy's name on first base.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who is on first, Lou?
What are you asking me for?
Don't get excited. I'm saying who.
I'm asking you a simple question. Who's on first?
Yes.
Well, go ahead and tell me.
That's it.
That's who? I'm I'm asking you, what's the guy's name on first base?
Oh, no, what's on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
One base at a time.
Okay. So it takes you a minute to get to understand the joke. But so what is the error that's going on here?
So someone's name is who, but he thinks he
Yes.
doesn't know who's.
Okay. So our sender, his message is who's on first, meaning the guy's name is who. So who is on first. But our receiver is decoding it as who's on first. Like a question, like he's asking him a question and he's getting frustrated. He's like, I don't know who's on first. I keep asking you, who's on first? Okay. So that is what a decoding error and encoding error looks like. Do y'all understand? Is that helping y'all out a little bit? All right, fantastic. Let's go ahead and move on to feedback. So feedback happens once the receiver decodes the message. Does feedback have to be words?
No.
No.
You can laugh.
You can laugh. You can make a funny face.
You can cry.
You can cry. Okay? Feedback does not have to be just the words. It can be whatever. Again, it's looking at that channel. How are we delivering our messages back and forth? It's the same with feedback. How are you going to deliver this feedback through? Okay? So feedback, here's something to know about feedback. Feedback could be immediate, meaning they could give you feedback immediately after they decoded the message. Okay? So they could have that feedback immediately. Like you're sitting there, you're telling a joke and it's super funny while you're telling it. They could be already laughing before you finish the message. All right? Or feedback could be delayed. If it is delayed, what is happening with our receiver? What are they doing? They're thinking about it and they're doing what? What's their responsibility? They're decoding that message. So some people may have a delayed feedback response because they're still trying to work it through their head. If y'all come up to me like that girl did earlier today and you don't give me any background information, guess what I'm going to be doing for a really long time?
Delayed feedback.
I'm going to have a really hard time decoding this message, so I'm going to have delayed feedback before I go, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay? Or feedback could not occur at all. What are some instances where feedback doesn't occur at all?
If your joke isn't funny.
If your joke isn't funny, well, the feedback of not talking to you, wouldn't that be feedback in itself? Like if they just looked at you like, could be. But what else could happen if feedback doesn't occur?
If they're, I don't know. If they're dead.
Okay. Sometimes they're not going to give you any feedback because maybe they're not paying attention to you. Right?
Or they don't like you.
Or, just like Alan said, they don't like you.
I don't know a lot of girls.
Okay. So they're not paying attention. They don't like you. They don't want to talk to you. That's when feedback doesn't happen. So here's our model again. Look, it's a circle. Y'all chill out with your mouse over there. Jeez. Yeah. So you have your sender. Their responsibility is to encode the message where they send through some kind of form of channel or medium. The receiver decodes this message and then they give feedback. Within this message being delivered, there could be noise between the sender and the receiver, or there could be noise between the receiver and the sender. What is noise again?
It's like this.
Yeah, or it's anything that interferes with it, right?
Or it's me doing the default end.
Anything, okay? What is a channel or medium?
Channel the message being sent, right?
Very, very close. It's how it's being sent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's how it's being sent. There's another important aspect that we need to make sure that we cover, and it's the field of experience. Not knowing what the field of experience is, I'm sure y'all can probably kind of guess what this is all about. But why would the field of experience be important in our communication process?
So, we like know what we're doing.
So you know what you're doing, okay? Number one, you need to have experience talking to people. So guess what you need to start doing?
I talk to people all the time.
You need to start talking to people. There's going to be days where you don't feel like talking to people at all. But there's also going to be days where you're going to be forced to talk to people even though you don't feel like doing it. So what do y'all need to start practicing? Talking to people, okay? That way you can build up your experience and you can know how to talk to certain people. Another thing about field of experience is it is the sum of one's experience during life. This could also include that person's culture and that person's language.
My culture is probably
Okay, so talking about the field of experience and how it is used in the communication process. Number one, you need to probably have some experience as far as how to communicate with a certain type of person, right?
You spelled some wrong.
The sum,
Oh, wait,
yeah. Okay, so with your experience, you need to learn how to talk to specific types of people. For example, if y'all know anything about Asian culture, would it be appropriate for me to go over and talk to somebody in Asia and have direct eye contact with them?
You do a Zoom meeting.
I don't know. Was that
So if I'm in Asia and I have direct eye contact with somebody from Asia, is that going to be appropriate?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It is not appropriate because in Asian culture, it's disrespectful to look at people in their eyes. So, you don't want to look at somebody's in their eyes. You don't want to make direct eye contact with people in Asian culture because it's considered disrespectful, especially if that person is of higher authority than you. So if you know anybody who's from Asia and you start talking to them and they never make eye contact with you, that's why.
That's weird.
Okay? It's the same thing with language. Okay? Some of y'all have no experience. Now, there might be a few exceptions in here, but some of y'all have, are y'all listening, gentlemen?
Please.
Okay. Some of y'all have no experience at all talking with people from the north, right? And people from the north, they speak English, but it's a very different English, isn't it? They've got some pretty hard accents up there. So, for example, in Minnesota, they say bag.
They say you all.
What does bag mean?
You say it's a bag, it's big.
It's bag.
What about
It's big.
So, hey, hand me my bag over there.
Hey, when me and my brother went to the wrestling camp down there, the first time,
Up there.
the first time, it was the Dave Robinson camp.
Yeah.
The first time we went in there, he told us to get our bags, and we just, like,
You just stared. You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Get your bag, and it connects with, like, your bag.
Yeah. So, if you go up north and you've never heard anybody speak up there, you might be a little bit lost. So your field of experience isn't going to be very good. And when you're communicating with people, it's going to be really rough because you don't have experience with people up north. But once you experience it, the next time you visit, what's going to happen? You'll know and you'll be able to communicate more. So, great example for y'all. My stepdad, he's from Minnesota. My whole family is from like Tennessee and Kentucky. So Kentucky, they have some really southern accents to a point. Yeah, nice. To a point where you don't even understand what they're saying because all of it is just like, hey, y'all go around there and go get down Pointing and we're gonna go out and have some poles and horses. And that's what they sound like.
How did I understand that?
Okay? So when my stepdad married into my family and he met like my uncle, man, it was so funny trying to watch him communicate because he was just sitting there looking like this the whole time. He had no idea what was happening. And he had to keep looking at my mom and going, what? So, let's talk a little bit more about field of experience. So here is our model. Are y'all listening over there? All right. So here's our field of experience within our model. You can see that there's just a little bit of commonality in between the two. Y'all see this? Every single one of you, shh, quiet please. Every single one of you leads a different life. You have different problems. You have different solutions to those problems. You have a different way of communicating with other people. All right? Your field of experience is completely different from somebody else in this room. However, there is some commonality to the way that y'all communicate with each other. And that's what you need to find out when you have some form of communication with somebody else. You need to figure out, okay, how am I going to talk to this person? For example, some of you can really shoot the stuff with your best friend. But God help you if you talked the same way to your mom or to your dad.
My mom hates it when I say brother.
Okay? You would not, the way you communicate with your best friend is not going to be the same way that you communicate with your grandma. Okay? That is not going to happen. If you do that, odds are you're probably either going to get a slap in the face or she's going to have a really confused look on her face because she doesn't know the certain type of slang that you'll have. Okay? So you've got to realize, now, how do you think I know this? Because I did it once, and guess what I got? I got slapped in the face. So that's experience that you have to gain. So again, those of you who are shy, I was shy once too. I still am. I'm a pretty shy person. If you see me in a big group of people, I'm normally the quiet one.
You know what to do to like get over it, like to get more comfortable?
Y'all don't pack up yet. I got a couple more things to talk about. So, let's talk about encoding and decoding. Again, some examples. We have a whole bunch of different ways that we communicate the idea of danger. Number one, if you're in danger or you see something dangerous happening, what are you going to do? Hey, y'all stop. I said to stop packing up. If y'all don't stop, I'm going to keep y'all at the bell because I got nothing to do. Okay. So, when we communicate the idea of danger, what are we typically going to do?
We're gonna film it.
We're film it. Okay. Y'all are typically going to be loud. You're going to make loud noises and be like, oh no, danger, stop doing that. Oh, it's dangerous. Okay. What color represents danger? Red. We all know this. Okay. Here's something that you need to kind of think about. The English language is very hard to learn.
Put your mask over your nose.
Okay.
Especially
Y'all, pay attention, please. Read this sentence. They were too close to the door to close it. Now, some of you who aren't very good.
I'm not talking. Hunter, shut up. Matthew, shut up. Thank you.
Example of noise. Okay. So, in the English language, it's really hard to differentiate because we have a lot of words that are spelled the same, look the same, but are two completely different things. Like close and close. They're spelled the same exact way. So you got to be aware of this when you're writing something out to somebody and you're trying to communicate this with them. Bryson, sit down. This poor mother, she has a decoding problem here. What is it?
Because she's playing the thing, but then she like thinks that she's saying I like don't know.
Yes. And the daughter, she could have encoded this a little bit better. What could she have said instead?
It means I don't know.
It means I don't know. Love you. Talk to you later. Okay, she could have explained that that's what it means. And then I'm going to show you all this video, and then we're done. Y'all ready?
Cheryl Frazier from Rhode Island. Describe your perfect date.
It's a tough one. have to say April 25th because it's not too hot, not too cold. All you need is a light jacket.
So he's asking her, describe your perfect date. And she decoded it into like a month and a day instead of a romantic date. Alrighty, y'all, tomorrow we are going to be doing an activity when we start class. So be ready to be put into groups.